This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So we are on today with Steffen from Good Life Inspections, and we are talking. So Steffen, I get questions all the time.
Yes.
From buyers and sellers.
Yes.
Why is this inspection company identifying issues with the property and then providing a bid? It seems like a bit of conflict of interest there. Like, how do I know that they're not just saying things are wrong so they can line their own pockets with repair fees?
Correct.
What would you say to that?
The state of California designated years ago, decades ago, that you have to get a WDO license, a wood destroying organism license. Mm-hmm. And it's incumbent upon, which sounds fancy for a termite inspector, right?
Yep.
Pest inspector, termite inspector. You have to get this license, and it's incumbent upon them to find dry rot and insect infestation. But almost more importantly, why is it happening? What is the conducive condition? Identifying the why. When you have subterranean termites in a building in Rancho Cordova and you realize that the stucco, because back in the days they built differently, they did the stucco and then they graded the soil back. So it creates what's called a faulty grade. The termites love the faulty grade because it's kind of wet and the soil's wet and it's like a freeway for the termites to get into the building. If you do a termite treatment there and you don't correct that faulty grade, 3 years after you paid $1,500 for a termite treatment, you're going to do another termite treatment. And then 3 years after that, you're going to do another termite treatment.
So rather than just inspect the symptom, you guys are going after the root cause.
The cause.
Okay.
You have to, and if you can't identify what the cause is doing a termite inspection on a property, you have to legally say, I can't tell, I'm recommending periodic inspection. Happens in Sacramento in the winter all the time. In the summer and the winter, we go under a property in the middle of July and we see water stains going all the way up the foundation, but it's not wet. We don't know why it's wet. You go out to that property in November and December, there's 7 inches of water under the house. Is that catastrophic? No. Can it create some mildew or fungus? Yes, at the end of the day. Keep an eye on it. It shouldn't be a deal killer. Getting back to your question, the state mandated that we have to identify what's causing it. It is more important to identify the cause than the net result. So contractors do not have this stipulation on their license. Contractors cannot say something is dry rotted. No one can say something is fungus damage or dry rotted except for a termite inspector in the state of California. Okay. And the spirit behind the license, we have to get continuing education. Much like a realtor, every 3 years we have to renew our license. We have to get 16 hours of continuing education.
Got it. And so if somebody gets a bid either from you or some other inspection company and they feel like, I'm not comfortable with the outcome, this seems like it's a little exaggerated for the situation.
Yes.
They can go out and get a second opinion, right?
Yes. Love the second opinions. And that's where working with companies like Good Life that do extra communication. This happens in real estate transaction. There will be company A will go out and they'll have a bid and they'll have dry rot for $2,000. They're not correcting what's causing the dry rot. They're just fixing the dry rot.
Yeah.
Company B will go out and they'll have a bid for $5,000. They are redoing the roofing that is defective as well as fixing the dry rot. And then you'll end up with company C will go out there and they'll find a place in between those two places to value engineer, address the leak, and do the dry rot repairs and get them across the finish line.
Got it. And so going back to that communication piece, it's really important to understand, are you addressing the symptom? Are you over-addressing the root cause?
Yes.
Or is there some happy medium here that works for both the buyer and the seller?
I say 75% of the time people fixate on the number, and I get it. I've bought and sold a lot of properties, a couple of investment properties, so money is key. That's the challenge, though. We're pressed when we're trying to close a transaction in California a month, 15 days. 2 months, no one has a chance to process. They buy on emotion and justify with reason, right?
Correct.
So they're just looking at the dollars and they see the number of 5,000 and then they start budgeting around it. It's important to have that communication and say, hey, that 5,000 could be 15,000. Buyer beware. Make sure we get on the same page. 80% of the time, it's not going to be the additional 15,000, but at least have that communication. Make sure your vendor has that communication out loud, because if there's a problem, Johnny, you and I talked about this.
Yeah.
If there's a problem in any real estate transaction, the first person they call is the agent.
Yep.
The agent discloses. People don't hear. we're so pressed on time, they're not listening to what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they call and they say, hey, did you know? And you're like, hey, guys or gals, we talked about this. Has to be documented and disclosed.
So what I'm also hearing you say is, so like, for example, in real estate, there's a term called buying the listing, where an agent will go out, meet with the home seller, and say, hey, let's say the house is worth $500,000 all day long. It's very cut and dry. They'll go, I can get you $550, maybe $575 for this property. And then I would go out there and say, hey, we'll get you $500 because that's what the home's market value for the home. People are more inclined to go with the person who's telling them the numbers they want to hear.
Yes.
How do you experience that all in your industry, or?
It is the number one challenge that we have in our industry. The termite inspector, so it's so interesting. When we go out to do an inspection at a property, we will have a home inspector that goes out, that is an employee. Mm-hmm. The home inspector is like Superman. They have a cape on. They're good looking. They find all the stuff, and they're saying, hey, find all the stuff that's wrong with the building. Yep. The termite guy.
Like a 50-page report.
It's a 50-page report. Yeah. There's pictures in there, and they're like, find everything. We're going to negotiate around it. It's all good.
Yep.
Oftentimes, the termite guy finds the non-sexy things. The termite guy is crawling through the mud, the cat poop, depending on what part of town, hypodermic needles. It is a tough, dirty job, depending on where you're at. It is tough. I've been poked 3 times by hypodermic needles.
Are you serious?
I've been bitten by snakes under houses, all the things, right? Lamb Park.
Oh my gosh.
Park. So it is not an easy job. And then you have to deliver that information. And no one wants to hear that information. If someone's going to spend $2,000, $4,000, $6,000, they want a 70-inch TV. Yeah. They want some millwork done inside the house. They want to redo the bathroom. They want to redo the kitchen. No one wants to spend money underneath the house on something that can't be seen. Mm-hmm. They definitely don't want to spend the money if they're selling the house. They're like, I don't want to drop any money. I don't want to spend any money on
It's
house.
Worked for me for the last 5 years. Why do I have to pay?
Right. Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so if somebody is... I would just encourage listeners not to just look at the numbers. Like, look at what at the track record of the company you're going with, and at the entire scope of work, and ask questions like, hey, what if this happens? How are you confident in this bid?
Yes.
So that way you know exactly what you're getting into. So you didn't budget for $2,000. They open up the siding, and then all of a sudden it's $10,000.
The great agents we work with, like the Johnny Jennings Group, the team, has those tough conversations on the front end. You have to have those conversations on the front end, because if they don't come up and you end up on the back end, we touch 1,000 properties a month in the Sacramento region. That is a lot. We end up in arbitration or mediation. I don't have the proper vernacular. As good as we are as witnesses once every 3 months. And that's doing everything the right way.
That's not bad, though. That's like 3,000 homes, and that's crazy.
It's absolutely nothing, all because everyone sticks their head in a hole and they don't have the tough conversations.
Yeah.
They just want to say, hey, they say, I could get you X amount of dollars. We could do this. We could do that. And then things come up during the inspection process, and then it gets shoved across the finish line. Mm-hmm. And that puts everyone in a compromised position. So
Valerie and I have worked with you guys, like Jen specifically,
yes,
for years now. And there's tons of different reasons why we enjoy working with you. The one that stands out to Valerie is the 2 things that stand out is, 1, the speed. Like, Jen gets things done fast. If we need an inspection done quickly, Jen can make it happen.
Yes.
And then 2, when dealing with repairs and things like that, Jen is an advocate.
Yes.
There's other inspection companies where it's like we're trying to communicate with the contractors, and they just don't care. It's just a one-off job to them.
Yes.
But with Jen, it's a relationship.
Yes.
With Good Life, we have a relationship.
Yes.
It's not a one and done.
Yes.
But there's so much more that your company provides, beyond just the speed and the relationship. You mind touching on a couple of those things? Like, for example, you have the engineers in-house, right?
We are a faith-based company.
Oh, that's awesome.
When our team rolls up to the house, if you're a husband or wife and you're leaving for work and you see our team roll up to the house, you feel safe. The people feel safe. You feel okay leaving for work and leaving your 6-month-old baby with the grandma home. Mm. Our guys are just built differently, man.
They are. Your guys are great.
They are so clean cut. If someone pulls up to the house with groceries or packages, which was a problem during COVID, by the way, our guys drop their tools and carry the groceries in.
Way to go.
They don't know how not to be polite. Jen, who you're referring to, is Jen Finley. She is our secret weapon.
She is.
We process a lot of inspection calls a day, and they will give oftentimes a standard answer. They offer amazing customer service, but sometimes the schedule says, hey, we're a week out. You make a call to Jen. Jen gets it done the next day. Jen sometimes can get it done the same day. Jen will
That's
call.
true. She's done it at least 3 times.
She will force me under her house in a suit if necessary to crawl through mud to get it done. It is a relationship business. We've been around this long because of our relationships.
Yep.
So the other office we have our own in-house permitting and planning team. We have our own in-house engineering team, which is a really big deal.
And so explain like why it's a big deal, because you guys are able to just get done faster, right?
Excellent. We get it done faster. We have the best relationship with Sac County Building Department, Sac County Code Enforcement Department, Sac City, Placer County, Roseville, Rockland. All of them know who Good Life is at the end of the day. Being in control of the narrative of the job. We'll go out in a bidding situation where someone has a property that is bid in a real estate transaction for $150,000 to do repair work. We come in with our own engineers and we give a bid for $60,000.
Wow.
There's an opportunity to value engineer and re-engineer their job. It makes the engineer's job really hard. It makes the permitting people's job really hard. But that's what they're paid for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If it saves the customer money and if it gets the job across the finish line, that's what we're all about, taking care of the customer. So in-house engineering, the relationships with planning and permitting. We pull permits for other construction companies because they can't.
Wow.
They could demo stucco. We do work at other contractors' houses, other termite company owners' houses. We'll remodel their bathrooms. We'll do additions for them because they can't.
I've seen some of the work you guys have done for, I think one lady had a fire in her house.
Yes.
And it was gorgeous
Yes.
after you guys were done.
Yes.
So it's just so much more than just crawling in the mud and snapping photos and
Yes.
identifying issues. You guys can handle it from inspections all the way to
Yes.
reconstruction.
Inspections through the life of the property. We inspect it, we diagnose it, we can maintain it. We could turn, it's hard with the lack of inventory. It's hard to find a house that's perfect for every family situation. So that's not a home.
Yeah.
You have to have the vision. As an agent, oftentimes you need to sell that vision. Hey, you're looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. I think we can do this, but there's just no inventory out there. But Good Life can turn that into the proper situation. Get in, get established. 6 months down the road, we come out, we design it, we engineer it. They come with up with the cash, and we could turn it into a home for them.
Yeah, put
with
some
our own
sweat
teams.
equity in, and all of a sudden you bought it here, and now it's worth way more.
All day long, we do it every day.
Yeah. So thanks so much for coming on this show. You guys
Awesome.
are like an integral part of the Made for More team, and so we value your time. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you
Can
for
I
having
ask
us.
one more
Johnny.
question?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Because we've been talking so much about the dangers of stucco.
Yes.
Is that something that is just taboo now? Nobody uses stucco. You guys don't use stucco. You recommend?
We have to use stucco. I dislike stucco, but it is, I mean, it's Mediterranean. So you go to Florida, you go to Arizona, you go to California, and it is all stucco. You go back east and you look at vinyl siding, it's hideous. It's ugly,
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
but it lasts.
Yeah.
You could pressure wash it, right? The idea behind stucco at the end of the day is the stucco doesn't order the waterproofing to the building. There's paper and wire under it. So actually, those stucco walls can leak, and they're kind of designed to leak at the end of the day. But the paper and wire are what stop it from. Paper and wire is what stops the water from getting in there. You have to maintain the stucco. You have to put it in correctly. It has to be applied correctly. So you have to make sure the flashing detail is right,
Yep.
the paper and wire is correct, and the stucco. You have to make sure it's done right and maintained.
So how often should somebody inspect their property if they have a stucco home?
Every 3 years.
3 years?
Every 3 years. People think that stucco doesn't have to get painted. You have to caulk, seal, and paint stucco.
Okay.
Even acrylic stucco at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter if you're in a $500,000 tract home in Elk Grove or a $5 million home in Los Lagos, stucco leaks. The same guys that are doing the stucco work oftentimes in the tract home is the same guy that's doing the work in the really fancy home. People think because it's a $5 million house, it's the same process. It's the same thing. Just when there's a leak on the big home. And actually, it is my opinion that there's better quality control on the tract homes than there is on the custom homes.
Oh, really?
I believe that the quality control where you've got different trades and then you have a project manager and a quality control manager that's watching each stage of the construction. In custom builds, oftentimes the actual builder or contractor's in a cubicle somewhere and he's leveraging money for deals, right?
Yep.
He just has the subcontractors doing the work. If there's not someone managing the subcontractors, then you have challenges and problems.
Oh, good to know. Never thought of it that way.
Interesting.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Awesome.
Big takeaways. If you want to reach out to Good Life, you can just Google them or go to madeformorerealty.com, and we're happy to reach out to and put you guys in contact.
Thank you, Johnny, for having us. Have a great day.
Matt, you would think in 2024, with Yelp and all of the reviews and stuff you can find online, finding someone you can trust would be a lot easier.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
I would. But really, the best way to find someone to trust is word of mouth. A friend that you trust telling you who they use, which is what Betty experienced. She used Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty to help sell her home, which had a really tough situation. But Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team were able to figure it out. So when it came time for Betty to sell her mom's home to move her into a retirement home, of course, she called Johnny Jennings, and they were able to find the perfect buyer for the home and negotiated a quick as-is sale, which they can do because they can get you a guaranteed 3 cash offers for your home.
That's right. Before the holidays are over, it's true. Believe it or not, they can perform miracles no matter what kind of condition your home is in. And you're thinking, oh, Matt, you haven't seen my house. Believe me, Johnny has seen every piece of property. No need to do those costly repairs, have people coming by your home for showings or staging or cleaning or organize. At least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. How do you do it? You reach out to Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Just Google them, Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty, and get more for your home. License number 1982-171.